They're praying and hoping that everything is well done. Another prayer is made and a blessing may their actions bring now the great presence of God. And we're told, though, at the end of the chapter, that a fire comes down to consume all the offerings. But we're not told what is the chronological order. And therefore, exactly after this, in the beginning of the new chapter here in chapter 10, we're told, Vateitze esh milifnei Hashem vatochal otam. Nadav and Avihu are breaching all the laws of their limitations. A Kohen is not allowed to go in there unsummoned. There's no such thing as a voluntary incense offering. But both of them cannot help themselves. It could be that their great expression of the love of God is bringing this idea that they want to bring a Ketoret, or some great commentators explain that they're ready to give up their lives in order to bring down the glory of God. To the extent that Moshe says in verse 3, Vayomer Moshe Aaron, Hu asher diber Hashem lemor. Rashi says in the name of Chazal that God says, I'm going to present myself through you, and you're going to be what? Sanctified in my honor. Don't read the word bichvodi in my honor, but b'mechubadai. To a certain extent, Nadav and Avihu, their love of godliness is so great, even greater than Moshe and Aaron, and through them, God's glory is coming down. Imagine. Their love of God is so great, they just breach the borders, go in and bring this Ketoret offering, uncommanded. It's considered an Eish Zara. They're sinning by bringing a foreign fire, Midah keneged midah, an attribute for an attribute, a measure for a measure. They're going to be burnt. They're going to be punished through fire. The fire comes down en route to consume the offerings where outside. It goes into the Kodesh HaKodeshim, and now into the Kodesh. Who's inside the Kodesh? Unlawfully? Nadav and Avihu. And it's consuming them. And then the fire will take its course further east, going outside to the outer Mizbeach, consuming everything else. So here, on the most happy day, it's a wedding day. Okay? Chazal say on the verses in Mishlei, Yom Chatunato v'Yom Simchat Libo. Yom Chatunato is the wedding we had at Sinai. Yom Simchat Libo, the day of the rejoicing of the heart, is the consecration of the Mishkan, the inauguration of the Mishkan. Here it is on day number 8. On such a joyous day of the heart, two of the greatest members of the Jewish people who are breaching the laws of limitations here, Nadav and Avihu, they saw maybe that the Shekhinah is yet to come after all this korbanot action, and maybe the father is even being embarrassed at what's not happening. Maybe they want to prove that there is Hashrat Shekhinah, but they're willing to give up their lives, which is not the right thing to do. They're willing to be burnt by God. And really, God doesn't tolerate things of this nature. He's not going to say, well, Aaron, give your sons a spanking. That's not enough. The Jewish people have to be told that we have to be so careful in the Kodesh, so careful in the Mishkan. The greater the place is and the greater the people are, the greater the consequences, as we said before. So on this happy day, Simchat Libo, this is the simcha of the heart of the Jewish people and the heart of God, we have a tragedy. Can we mourn for the tragedy on such a happy day? Moshe makes the immediate statement after the loss of his two nephews. Moshe says in verse 3, Vayomer Moshe el Aaron. Who? This is the point. Asher diber Hashem lemor, that God spoke, saying, Bikrovai kadesh. I will sanctify myself by the ones that are close to me. Val pnei kol am, and above the entire nation, ekavet. Upon the rest of the nation, I will have my great honor shown before everyone, okay? Before all the people. Wow. Moshe Rabbeinu is basically saying, these two sons of yours are so great. God's honor, God's reverence, His glory is coming here through these two. And Aaron's reaction to the death of his two sons, Vayidom Aaron. He's silent. Why is he silent, gentlemen? Why is he silent?
He accepted
He's accepting the din. He's accepting the din. He can't mix mourning and happiness at the same time. Aaron is now being called to duty, very high duty. Aren't you a father of these two sons? Of course he is. But what's more prominent? What's more paramount? That he is a Kohen Gadol. He's a Kohen Gadol of the entire nation. So what's being called out here, and he's answering to the call that he's being silent, that he's not mourning on his sons. Nor is he what? Complaining. He's not complaining on the words of Moshe. He's justifying what Moshe just said, that my two sons were the greatest, and God, through them, brought his glory. And here we see what a tremendous matter. Vayidom Aaron. It could be that he started to cry before Moshe Rabbeinu talked to him, but then when Moshe Rabbeinu finishes talking to him, he's now being silent. Tremendous, tremendous matter here, the silence of Aaron. Anyone want to comment on this matter? Huh? On the silence of Aaron.
I think also like the situation would be like hectic because you'd be like you've been a witness of an amazing experience, but in the meanwhile like, oh, my sons die on the other side. So it'd be like mixed up with feeling like, wow, what's happening?
Naturally, you have to cry. Yeah. Naturally, you have to cry. You have your basic emotions. You should know that it's even a mitzvah to cry, especially on the Gedol Ador that we lost and we buried yesterday of Kenyevsky. It was a mitzvah to cry on the loss. And the Talmud talks about that the first 3 days of mourning is called the days for crying. And usually, only the closest people to the beloved are the visitors in the first 3 days, like the family members. And if we come to do the mitzvah, we shouldn't have to do it. Every time we come to do the mitzvah of mourning, of comforting the mourners, we should do it after day 3, if it's possible. So here, it's even, you would think if you're not going to be crying on your own children, it's a disgraceful thing, as the Ramban explains here. But here, we're saying that, Aaron, we'll talk more about this tomorrow, God willing. Aaron is so lofty, so great. He's accepting the din, and he's not expressing sadness on a day that's so happy to Am Yisrael and to Hashem. It's an amazing level. Yes, Josie?
It's just, there's a lot I'm seeing here. Is that when you said before, like the punishment is the crime, you could say, that's they brought up a fire offering, a strange fire, and they've been consumed by fire. It's also seen in a way when we do, say, to kasha our vessels, we basically purifying them.
That's right. The way they absorb it is the way that's going to take it out.
So the way that they sinned is also the way that they're being purified.
Yes.
So
right. There's
sons who had just committed one of the most grievous crimes.
They're being atoned for by the fire of God.
They're not just being punished, they're being redeemed.
It's a merit, on the other hand, right? To be punished by the fire of God Himself. Wow, what a din, what a din. We'll talk more about this, Be'ezrat Hashem, and try to understand even in a deeper way tomorrow, God willing. Have a great day today, gentlemen.